Hi, guys. Thanks for joining me this afternoon, middle of the night, whatever it is for you. I'm glad to have you here with me. As I promised in the promos that I put out, as I usually do, preview, then teaser, which is a clip of our little show tonight, or any show. So let's dive deep. I talked about or mentioned an actor that I dated very briefly in the 80s. This story is in line with my prior story recently about Philip McKeon. And it is also in line with the theme of this channel, the theme of my book, and my movement, at least in my brain, being one of the few of us left, tell these stories about slaughtered princes in Hollywood and surrounding industries and areas. I don't know. What else can I say? Anyway, Timothy and I met. I had gone to a Hollywood premiere with a friend of mine, Christy Swanson, who was Buffy in the Vampire Slayer movie, and also an actress friend of mine, Elan Udi, who I've had on the show before. We've done a couple movies together, and her date and another couple. After the premiere at the Academy, we went to a restaurant called Joe Allen's in Beverly Hills. It was very famous. There's one in New York City, and it was like the place to go and be seen, but the food was really good, and it was close to the Academy. So, Ellen and I, Christy Swanson and I, and the other couple went to Joe Allen's to have dinner. I'm at the table, and there is this gorgeous guy at the next table. He didn't he didn't look familiar to me at all. But he was flirting miserably, mercilessly with me from the other table, looking, eyeing, smiling, not like gross coming on type of thing, but just highly flirtatious from afar. So I'm completely kind of discombobulated. There's this gorgeous, as it turns out, well-known actor flirting with me mercilessly. So he gets up and goes towards the restroom. Again, this is so typical of having to, doing what we had to do as slaughtered princes, just to connect with one another. In the industry confines, who's going to be outed, who can I trust? That's what I mean by industry confines for the slaughtered princes. Anyway, so he makes his way to the bathroom. There's a payphone by the bathroom, remember those? And he's pretending to make a phone call, like the receiver on and off, and blah, blah, blah. But he's staring at me, and he's kind of beckoning me over. Well, I had a hard time saying no my whole life. Why not? So I got up, went to the restroom, and then there's busyness by the phone in the restroom, so we're not like in full view of our tables. So Timothy tells me I'm breathtaking and that he has to have my number because we have to go out. So, I had no problem with that. I'd been to the rodeo a few times. Here's my number, no problem. We go back to our respective tables, finish our respective dinners, and he calls me. Following evening, I think, early the following evening. So he wants to meet. Meet. It's not like a hookup, but so we set a date, a light date, like diet, and went to a Thai restaurant in Hollywood on Selma. No, I'm sorry, Yaka. I don't know. Anyway, it was right in Hollywood, near Hollywood and Vine, and that was lovely and it was nice. And again, it was highly flirtatious, but whatever, no biggie. I'm used to that, or I'm the same way, I guess. Sometimes back then, not quite as obvious, but whatever. He's a lovely guy, fascinating, interesting, and terrified of being outed. He knew why he was there. I knew why I was there. He knew we were both actors in the industry. He was considerably better known than I at the time. He had been directed by Michael Landon in a famous television movie. We had that in common. He was on Glitter. He was just Wikipedia or Google him. It'll show you how well known he was in television in the 80s before his death from HIV complications. Note, footnote. So Timothy and I have a second date. Now, typically on your, after the first date, you get a vibe from the first date that the second date's going to go a little further, probably. So I'm prepared now. We dated for just shy of a month, maybe, and that was like 2 sleepovers and a few datey dates. So it's the big date, right? Yeah, little funny side note, you want to be amused. So Sean had such body issues. There's words for it, like pathological body issues. And so I wanted to make such a good impression on Timothy when we were going to first be intimate that I was an incessant tanner. I just felt I looked better tan and what have you. With my body issues, I also felt like, I want to have blonde leg hair tonight. Like, ooh, smooth, tan, blonde, whatever. This is how deep my body issues were. I dyed my hair, my body hair with Jolene, which is a bleach that ladies put on their, like, above their lip to get their mustache gone. So, I have blonde hair, but I took the tan off. So I don't quite look like I have vitiligo, but it's very odd, but not noticeable enough. So again, I'm at his place. His home is a very famous facade, meaning, the front of the building, which looks like the interiors, on several movies. It's sort of a, God, what is the style? I don't even know the style. The old style, an established style of architecture. And it was the house in Crimes of Passion where Kathleen Turner lives. Anyway, and he had the same unit that she supposedly has in the movie. So lovely inside, lovely outside. Spent a couple of evenings with him there. Did he reveal his status to me? None of your business. But we worked around it. However, we got around that. I got around it. He got around it. Whatever. Okay. This was then, and it was a different time. And for some of us, it was not an issue if we had great affection for the person and knew how to be safe. And to be crude, I was a top. Not that that makes it any safer for me, but whatever. I'm not saying that saved me from the AIDS crisis, but it is what it is. So we have a couple of lovely evenings together. This man was so again, okay, slaughter princes, right? Right. Terrified of being outed. So, he was on Glitter at the time, I believe. Co-editor of some fashion magazine or whatever. Terrible series. My friend Barbara Sharma was actually in it too. Side note. So Timothy, it becomes clear that he's so paranoid about the industry because he was on the map, and we were already starting to like have an affair-ish kind of thing, and he was not comfortable. I don't think Timothy was ever comfortable in his own skin, as handsome and as followed and photographed as he was. So we get through this kind of affair, and he is really starting to unravel personally, because he has this paranoia of being outed. He gets deeper and deeper into rabbit holes about being outed and people finding out. And, he was very popular at the time. He was also getting sick, ill. And towards the end, he did the end. I mean, it was, not all that long, but I did have a last chance to see him. It wasn't like designated as the last time we were ever going to see each other, but I went to his home, as I mentioned, and he was just beside himself. And we broke up kind of, but in the strangest kind of way. It was like he was just so completely preoccupied, and I can imagine now, having been in the health situation that he was, having been in the closet and at the peak of his career, you guys, it's very hard to imagine. So it ended on this kind of vague, ghosty kind of note where we talked one time after that, and I told him how much I cared for him. And I told him I wanted to paint him a picture. I was quite an artist, illustrator, watercolor painter. At the time, I wrote poetry and did all this stuff that you wouldn't think. And so I said to him, I painted you a beautiful picture, and can I bring it? And he's like, of course, whatever. I mean, he's not mean. He's just extremely preoccupied. You can tell, like to the point of distraction. So I come to his place off of Beechwood Canyon with the painting. I think it's one of the most beautiful watercolors I've ever done. And I framed it for him, and I put my picture in the back of the frame, and I wrote him a note, a lovely note. And I gave it to him, and we embraced, and it was the most unusual moment, one of the most unusual moments of my life. And I've had plenty of them. And so it ended on that note. And My Slaughtered Prince went on to getting very ill, getting outed, declared gay with AIDS. And it was not a very nice way to leave life, leave the industry, leave your personal uh, world community that was not there for you back then. You know, hello, our union. We didn't have hotlines. There was no Hollywood division of CPS, nor were there people to come forward on those issues. So, again, a story of another slaughtered prince. I love you, Timothy. I hope wherever you are wherever you are, that you're really nice, positive vapor somewhere floating around. And you're not forgotten, nor is Philip, nor is anyone else. Thank you for joining me this evening, and I will see you next time. Bye.